Welcome to the shit show that is Black Lives Matter Canada. Now, a lot of you may not care that much about Canada, especially with respect to Black Lives Matter, considering Canada doesn't even remotely have the same history or present problems with racism that America does. Slavery was uncommon in Canada. In fact, the majority of slavery practiced in Canada was perpetrated by Aboriginals. And as for police brutality, well, in Ontario, only about 7 people are shot and killed by police per year. It's hardly an epidemic as Black Lives Matter make it appear. But that doesn't stop victims from trying to be victims, does it? So I want to introduce you to the fantastic crew that represent Black Lives Matter in Canada. A quick disclaimer though. BLM is a movement of peace that can literally do no wrong, and anyone who does crazy racist things or hurts people is obviously not a true Scotsman and does not represent the movement, even if I am talking about the leaders of it. Thank you. Now, let's jump into things and meet the dynamic duo that founded Black Lives Matter Toronto. First, there's the Queen Bee, Yusra Kogali, co-founder of BLM Toronto. Yusra came to Canada from Kenya when she was 9 years old. She's a student at the University of Toronto's Institute for Studies and Education, working towards an MA in, you guessed it, social justice education with a collaboration in women and gender studies. And previously, she was the VP of Equity for the University of Toronto's Scarborough Campus Students' Union. Yusra is probably most well known for a lovely tweet she wrote, which was plastered all over local media. Reading, "Please Allah, give me strength not to cuss/kill these men and white folks." Now, before you get all judgmental, please take this Toronto Star opinion piece into account, where she says she was just putting her rage and trauma into words. That totally makes it okay. I'm not too sure how she'll explain this one though. In a long rant posted on Facebook to friends on October 17, 2015, Kogali describes that whiteness is not humanness. In fact, white skin is subhuman. White people are a genetic defect of blackness. And then it goes on to say one of my favorite parts, melanin is directly linked to the strength of neurosystems affecting capacities like intelligence, memory, and creativity. Melanin enables black skin to capture light and hold it in its memory mode, which reveals that blackness converts light into knowledge. Melanin directly communicates with cosmic energy. Well, that's some pretty hard science there. Not sure if I can deny any of that. But I think the most important thing you should take away from this is the conclusion that says white people are recessive genetic defects. Black people, simply through their dominant genes, can literally wipe out the white race. Amazing. Now, although Kogali is clearly a black supremacist, that doesn't stop her from tearing down black people who disagree with her. I ran into Kogali at a free speech rally a few days ago, and while an Ethiopian man was speaking about his father's oppression of speech, she yelled at him that he was a
and so was his family, and so was my family. And he came to this country.
Kogali has a history of this nonsense. You can find it all around her. For example, this post from March 30th, "What white people don't understand is that this is not like our elders' movement. We will snatch your edges and clap you back into ashes. We will also beat that ass, Becky, run up." I have no idea what that means. And as much as I would love to continue exploring the absolute train wreck that is Yusra Kogali, let's move on to our next hero of BLM, Miss Sandy Hudson. She is also a co-founder and outspoken member of BLM Toronto, and of course, good friends with Miss Kogali. Sandy Hudson was the former executive director of the University of Toronto Student Union. She left her job after 2.5 years of working at the union and walked away with a $277,000 severance deal. That included around 2,000 hours of overtime. That severance payment equals approximately 10% of the union's annual operating budget. Sandy also got all those overtime hours despite never recording any overtime hours into her personnel file, and allegedly filed all the 2,000 hours of overtime on a single day after an election was held to choose a new executive committee. This makes absolutely no sense. How on earth did she get this package approved? Well, there happened to be two individuals still on the executive committee who both had to leave their positions in a month. These two individuals happily signed off for severance package. It's almost like there's something fishy going on here. It's almost like the three of these people worked together to steal a ton of money from the students at the University of Toronto and totally abuse their positions before they left. Which would explain why the current student union is suing Sandy Hudson and the other two who signed her package for breach of fiduciary duty. But Sandy has a pretty good argument against this. She stated that their questioning of her termination agreement is oppressive. Now, Kogali and Hudson have a few other groups along with BLM Toronto that they run, one being the Black Liberation Coalition at the University of Toronto. Sandy made sure to use her friends at the BLC to solidify her argument that lawsuits over stolen money are indeed oppressive. The BLC held a stakeout at the Student Union office a few days ago, and of course were extremely reasonable and polite in their approach.
Hi sir, do you want to know a bit about the UTSU anti-black racism? Like I keep saying, the fact that black students have to boycott your ass shows that you have failed as a students' union. Shit! You understand what that means? That means y'all ain't doing motherfucking shit. If I were you, I would just hang my shit and be out.
That's how you reason with people, by slandering them as racists and screaming curse words at them. Just beautiful. Basically what this tells all students of every color is that even if they work dishes every evening and push their hardest to pay for school, they have no right to be upset over severance packages far larger than anything they can ever earn, or they are just racists. So those are your two heroes of the Black Liberation Movement in Toronto, with both Hudson and Kogali being founders of BLM here. Just to finish this video off, I'd really recommend everyone watching this to look into both the demands being presented by the BLC and BLM Toronto, some of which are dropping charges on Sandy Hudson, making free university for blacks, and making spaces for blackness. And look into and read more articles and videos about Sandy Hudson, Kogali, and other members of the BLM and BLC, then judge for yourself. Are they about ending oppression, or are they for supremacy, financial gain, and their own personal interests? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, then be sure to hit the subscribe button to check out more content.